Now, I like this. Somebody called in and said, I was never sure how to explain to friends and people about Christmas. It helps me to know about the courses of the priests and the birth of John the Baptist. You know, do yourself a favor. If you have people in close proximity to you who still, they're a little bit fuzzy on why you don't believe, do yourself a favor. Hand them a Bible. Just hand them a Bible and just say, find the date in here, December 25th. Find that date in here, and then we'll sit down and talk about this. Because you won't find it. There's nothing to talk about. I told you this yesterday, and you will find this time and time again. The people who are so dogmatic about this celebration, I'm not suggesting we shouldn't celebrate the birth of Christ or celebrate that a child was born of a virgin. That's our blessed Redeemer. Just know what proper time of year he was born. And I know if it was me, and I'm just speaking in a human frame, and if somebody came up to me today and said, "Happy birthday, Pastor Scott," I'd say, "Gee, thanks, but it's not my birthday." And I'd certainly, each time somebody come up and tell me happy birthday, at some point I think I'd just wear a sign or something. But God doesn't do that. But He has given us enough information. It's always those people who have not spent the time. It's just like the resurrection. It's people who have not spent the time studying, not even for an hour. It's my challenge to you, some of you tonight listening who are new viewers. You just kind of came on here tonight just to check out what we do here and what is this strange program. Go get a Bible. You want to look in the New Testament, and you're only looking in the Gospels. There's only the first 4 books of the New Testament you got to look at. You find that date does not occur. And the mention of Christmas does not occur. And the dating of the Christ child does not occur. And the time of year specifically, other than the reference to the time of year that Zechariah, the husband of Elizabeth, the father of John the Baptist, was serving his service in the temple. And it's so perfectly clear that he was of the 8th course of the priest based upon what is listed in 1 Chronicles 24. And it's perfectly clear that that service of priesthoods that repeated itself twice in a year only leaves you with 2 options for the time of year that Zacharias was serving in the temple. He would have only served twice, the 3 times in the year of those mass feasts. Every priest was serving. Every able-bodied man was within the temple serving at something. So there's only 2 times in the year where this could have taken place, because it says immediately after he finished his course, he went home. We don't know how long it took him to get home. I gave you a 30-day window, which gave you lots of room. Who knows? But he went home, and even if you took the first or the second course, if he did it in the first 24 weeks of service and he was the eighth person, or whether he did it in the second week of service, putting him in that second group, culminating in the 48 weeks of service, being the 8th person to serve. Neither one of those dates bring you to the possibility that at the time of the birth of John the Baptist, at the time that in the 6th month of Elizabeth's pregnancy, then 9 months later, Jesus is born, neither one of those dates bring you in close proximity to December 25th anyway, even if you can't count. But you have to be willing to look. It is very much like the resurrection. You've got to be willing to look. It's not just enough to go and, somebody said to me a few months ago, why don't you just do a big giant sunrise service? And I thought, why don't you just stay in bed for an extra hour? Most people don't understand. When I read the Gospels that at least reveal in part, especially because I'm able to read the Greek and understand what it says, it's perfectly clear to me. We know that Jesus came out of the tomb after the Sabbath time was complete, sometime between that time and the morning, but not necessarily at sunrise. And we know that to be perfectly clear because of the fact that they came back to anoint the body. They had to wait until the Sabbath was over. So if you're going to think about this, Sabbath goes from sundown to sundown. It wouldn't be from sundown to sunup. Right away there, the logic is just completely out the window. But you've got to be willing to read God's Word with clarity, not with traditions. This is the same thing. So somebody said, thank you for giving the information. Now I know what to tell my friends or people who ask. Start with just handing them a Bible and say, find it. Find Christmas in there, and we'll have something to talk about. We'll discuss it. Otherwise, you should listen to what I have to say, and you can go and check it out afterwards. And these are very, very difficult concepts. I know because I was there, and many of you were too. Very difficult concepts when you have lived your whole life in traditions. You came up in your family, and this is what you were brought up with, and you only know this. And then one day you hear somebody saying this, and it goes against the grain of everything that is logical and possible. But if you take the time to see for yourself, I'm not asking you in this case to take my word. I gave you the scriptures. If you'll take the time to check it out for yourself, you come to that absolute reality that everybody out there is wrong.